Alright, so now let's just prime ourselves for what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not wearing a hockey jersey, so nobody can claim, oh, I'm wearing a hockey hat, but ignore that. So injury front. Chris Letang's out for Pittsburgh. Evgeny Malkin is going to start game one. Chris Kunitz is out long term. Carl Hagelin. Mike Sullivan said there's a real chance the winger returns at some point in the opening series, which means he's not back for game one. For the Sharks, both Logan Couture and Joe Thornton are listed as day-to-day going into the round one showdown with the Oilers. That's not good. Patrick Eaves left Sunday's game with an upper body injury. He's expected to face the Flames in game one, and Eaves is a warrior. His beard alone will get him through the playoffs. Cam Fowler's out 2 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. And GM Bob Murray said that Giordano was a dirty player. Nick Ritchie has a game remaining on a suspension. Clayton Stoner's out. Ryan Garbutt's out. Simon Dupre has been out all year. Torrey Krug's battling a lower body injury. Is expected to miss the entire Eastern quarterfinal versus Ottawa. Not going to lie, that hurts. Brandon Carlo has also been ruled out for game one. And Hudobin's recovering from an illness. Noel Acciari has been ruled out for game one, so it's likely we see Jimmy Hayes play banged up. Jimmy Hayes hasn't been very good all year, though. Krejci and Moore both missed Tuesday's practice. They're expected to play in game one, but if Krejci's out, Boston's record without Krejci is just awful. John Carlson sat out last 4 games of the regular season for the Capitals with an undisclosed lower body injury. And then they're saying he'll be in the lineup for game one. Brett Connolly missed the last 2 games of the season. I wouldn't worry about Brett Connolly's not a steady guy. Ryan Murray's been sidelined for the Blue Jackets since March 12th with a broken hand. He was given a timeline of 4 to 6 weeks, which means he's within the window of coming back by the end of the series. Werenski's recovering from a shoulder injury, but yeah, Werenski's going to play. Lucas Sedlak didn't practice and is doubtful for game one. He's a depth guy, so it's not as big of a thing as it could be. Freddie Anderson, who got hurt, said he'll play Thursday if everything goes well. So he's still feeling a lot of pain. Nikita Zaitsev and Roman Polak were both hurt and didn't skate Tuesday. But again, ahead of the playoffs, it's not unusual for a guy who's hurting to avoid some practicing because they want them to be ready for the game and not take any risks. Babcock said both guys are progressing. We're optimistic both guys will be ready. I can't guarantee anything. Teams will never give it up. You could see a guy get decapitated on the ice, and the team would go, it's a lower body injury. He may be back for the next game. And when people are like, his head came off, they go, lower body injury, we can't confirm anything else. Erik Karlsson's going to play. He sat out of the last game of the year, but he's going to play. Zach Smith's recovering from upper body injury, but he'll play as well. Mark Mathot, I can't see it. His status is up in the air, but from what I've heard and from what I've seen, he's still having trouble holding a stick. He's still having trouble with that hand. I can't see him playing right away. So in Nashville, you've got Mike Fisher, Vernon Riddler, Calle Yarncroc, Yannick Weber, and Colin Wilson, who have all missed time due to injuries. And in terms of who's going to play in game one, they're all up in the air. The health of Roman Josi, whose lower body injury may hinder his performance in the opening series, is an issue. Wilson and Yarncroc didn't practice. All the others did. Josi, even hurt Josi's better than half the defensemen in the league. Robbie Fabry in St. Louis tore his ACL. He's out for the rest of the year. Robert Bertuzzo's missed 5 straight games and uncertain for game one. Nail Yakupov hasn't played since March 31st. I don't know if Yakupov's in St. Louis's lineup, even if he is healthy. It's uncertain when Paul Stastny's back in the lineup. Sobotka returning couldn't have come at a better time. I agree. Sobotka's, a ringer. From Montreal, Shea Weber and Jordy Ben both sat out of the last regular season game, but they're expected to play in game one versus the Rangers, and I totally expect that. Ben is a warrior, much like Eaves. Awesome beard. I don't know why Dallas traded away the guys with the awesome beards at the deadline, and they were some of their best players, but whatever. And Weber's not going to miss a playoff game. Alexei Emelin will definitely not play in Game 1. Emelin is one of those guys who he helps Montreal, but he hinders Montreal. So, depending on your perspective on him, it's a good or a bad thing or both. Pacioretty had a scare during practice. Mike McCarron accidentally high-sticked him in the face, and he'll play. He'll play. He may be wearing a face shield, but he'll play. Andrew Desjardins for Chicago is a question mark. Roosevelt underwent surgery Tuesday to repair facial fractures. He's going to make full recovery. He won't be playing Game 1. Nicholas Chalmerson was attending the birth of his child, and he'll be in Game 1. Artem Anisimov has been out since March 14th, and he's back. He's going to play in Game 1. Chad Johnson was held out of the last 2 games due to a lower leg injury, but he'll not wear the backup. John Gillies will be the backup. Gillies looked good in the game I saw him play, so we'll see what happens there. For the Rangers, Jesper Fast missed the last 3 games. He's expected to be ready for the playoffs. Backup goalie Antti Ranta is dealing with a minor knee injury. I can't see him not being the backup. In Minnesota, Victor Bartley's been on long-term reserve all season. He returned to practice Monday. Again, this isn't like a key guy for Minnesota, so it's nice to see news on him, but he's not a key guy. Jared Spurgeon missed the last 2 games to rest a lower body injury, but that's why he rested so that he could be healthy to go for the playoffs. And while I complain about sitting guys out, I did say in that video too, if it's injury related, fine, but if it's just to rest guys, it drives me nuts. And in Edmonton, Tyler Pitlick is the only one out. So there's your injury roundup. Now let's get to the schedule. I looked over the schedule and I'm really impressed. I usually get mad at the first round schedule and later rounds too, because you'll see usually the Canadian teams that are on CBC, they'll play every other day. But the American teams that are trying to get on NBC and get into those key slots in terms of time zone and in terms of exposure, they'll play two in 2 days, and then they'll have 3 days off, and they'll play a couple games. And it's hard to get into a rhythm in terms of both I could imagine playing and from watching. So Anaheim, Calgary, they play on the 13th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, 25th. Perfect. Edmonton, San Jose, 12th, 14th, 16th, 18th, 20th, 22nd, 24th. So the good news is you can see Edmonton one night, Calgary another night, and they never cross over. It's very good scheduling by NHL here. St. Louis, Minnesota, 12, 14, 16, and then there's a 2-day break, 19, 2-day break again, 22nd, 24th, 26th. When you see 2-day breaks like that, it could affect momentum, but with St. Louis and Minnesota, the hatred's going to be so strong at that point, I don't think it's going to matter. Chicago, Nashville, 13th, 15th, 17th, 20th, so there's a 2-day break there. And then 22nd, 24th, 26th. I'm kind of surprised they didn't manipulate the Chicago-Nashville series a little more to get the games exactly where they want them. Again, it's the marquee teams that you'll see getting these weird schedules, usually in the playoffs, and they've really done a good job avoiding them this year. Washington against Toronto, 13th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, 25th. So if you're watching CBC, you're going to get Washington, Toronto, and then Anaheim, Calgary. Those are your series. Ottawa, Boston, 12th, 15th, 17th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, 25th. On the other hand, Ottawa and Boston is going to be on the same night as Washington and Toronto. Okay. Montreal and the Rangers, 12th, 14th, 16th, 18th, 20th, 22nd, 24th. So Montreal, New York, mirror Edmonton, San Jose. So you can watch Montreal and Edmonton the same night. Pittsburgh, Columbus, 12th, 14th, 16th, 18th, 20th, 2-day break, 23rd, 25th. So again, those 2-day breaks that drove me nuts, and then you'd see like a back-to-back situation. It happened not often, but once in a while. I understand that this is because they have to book the venue, and there may be concerts, there may be a circus, there may be whatever, and the circus has affected NHL playoff scheduling. I'm not making that up. So what we've got in the schedule here and what we've got going into the playoffs is most teams are relatively healthy. And in terms of key guys being out, there are a few. You can think of Letang. You can think of Carlson nursing an injury going in. Krug in Boston. And Carlo. I'll be honest, as a Bruins fan, that makes me very worried about my prediction that they'd knock out Ottawa, because Krug's been fantastic and Carlo's been solid all year. So we'll see how that affects things. But that's a fun schedule. I'm really excited about where the playoffs are headed this year, and in terms of who's playing who, and that schedule makes me happy. I wrote it down and I'm like, all right, let's see how botched this is, and it isn't. It really isn't. It's a nice, evenly paced schedule, and that's good, because part of what happens too is when you get these long breaks, especially if it's a series that's over quickly versus a series that goes 7. And the team with the weird, funky schedule will usually go the 7, whereas the team with the nice, evenly paced schedule can go ahead and sweep it, and then they get like a week and a half off waiting for that team that's playing that weird schedule. Not going to happen this year. But it's going to be interesting, because if some of those series end early, like for instance, I'm just going to take the earliest that a team could sweep would be the 18th, and then the latest that a Game 7 goes is the 26th. So that's 8 days. So it's a 10-day break, because they're not going to schedule a Game 1 the night after a Game 7. You're going to get 2 days. You're going to have that 1 day break, and then the next day is probably Game 1. So let's say Edmonton sweeps San Jose, or San Jose sweeps Edmonton. They're done on the 18th. They'd be waiting for the winner of Anaheim-Calgary, which goes to the 25th. So that's a 9-day turnaround there. Montreal and the Rangers. Their 4th game would be on the 18th, so let's say Montreal sweeps the Rangers, Rangers sweep Montreal. They'd be playing the winner of Ottawa-Boston, and that's over on the 26th. So they'd be looking at a 10-day break between games, which, when you're looking at injuries, and the injury lists aren't that bad right now, I'm telling you, I really have high hopes for these playoffs. I really think starting tomorrow night, we are going to be having so much fun watching hockey. I am stoked. And at a time when there's a lot of talk about YouTube and how things are falling apart for certain channels, and there's certain things and certain content, what we're doing here, what's going on here, I'm not worried. I'm not. When I hear about this advertiser and that advertiser, this is going on and that's going on, and I have to pay attention to that, because this channel is doing really well. So I have to look at what's going on with other channels and why they've lost monetization, or why they lost certain things. No, I'm relatively happy and confident that the things that are affecting other channels, they haven't hit me yet. And unless I go off the deep end and start spouting off conspiracy theories, which I don't know how that works with hockey. I know there are a lot of people who believe in conspiracy theories. Lord knows, after the Canucks lost in Game 7 against the Rangers, I heard people in a store, and if online had been bigger in 94, it would have been everywhere, that the New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1994 because that's what Gary Bettman and the NHL wanted. They didn't want a Canadian champion. And I'm in the store thinking about, where's this something sharp to stab myself in the face so I don't have to listen to this. And all that occurred to me was, well, why did they wait 54 years to give the Rangers the Stanley Cup? And how did they magically make the puck that Nathan Lafayette shot hit the post? Was there a magnet in the puck? Did they tell him to hit the post? Because if he hits the net, that game's going into overtime and the Canucks are winning it. But, conspiracy theories abound. I remember in 2011, too, I heard Canuck fans, the only reason that the Bruins won is because Gregory Campbell's on the Bruins, and it's Colin Campbell's relation. So because he's related to Colin Campbell, the NHL is favoring him. And I thought, where the hell was this favoritism every other year in Boston with Gregory Campbell? We could use that. Never happened. The year before, when Boston choked away a 3-0 series lead and lost in 7, I didn't see any favoritism from the NHL then. That was a disgusting series. That was the worst. Especially since they were ahead 3-0 in Game 7, and I'm like, oh, thank God they avoided it. And and then it just, oh God. So I'm not going to go in that direction, and I don't believe in conspiracies because they're just, and in hockey, why? What for? Because part of the thing is that in terms of anything in sports, like you look at Shattenkirk when he leaves St. Louis, and there's rumors coming out about him being a problem in the dressing room. You look at Jared McCann when he leaves Vancouver to go to Florida, same thing. Jeff Brown left Vancouver to go to Hartford in a deal that looked really one-sided for the Whalers, and then the rumors came out, and you go, okay, it makes sense. All right, that's all right. Kuchera in doubt it is. All right, let's just forget this ever happened. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around a giant conspiracy in sport when this crap leaks out. So the idea that there's this thing happening that's got tons of people involved and not one of them opened their mouths, just I can't see it. So anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you don't listen to Slipknot, you should, because you're a hockey fan, and hockey fans should listen to Slipknot. It's just how things are. I had a video recently I did on my Patreon account where I discussed my musical tastes, and I actually played a bunch of music, and it hasn't got a copyright notice at all. I got a copyright notice the next day, and I'm like, well, of course. And it was from one of my Star Wars Battlefront videos from over a year ago. I was like, oh, all right, I don't monetize that anyways. But yeah, so it's fun. It's fun stuff. And yeah, I enjoy doing that kind of thing. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. And if you're among the patrons, there's more content coming during the week. I got to figure out exactly what kind of thing I can do, because I try to do something different when I do those videos. That's not as much hockey related and more personal related, more fun, relaxed kind of content. Like I'm talking to best friends kind of thing, rather than being the hockey guy. But thank you, and let's all hope for a fantastic first round starting tomorrow night. I am stoked. I'm excited, and it's going to be fun going through this with you guys. And it's on like Donkey Kong starting tomorrow night. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and thanks for watching.